Hey guys, what's going on? Just made it a goal this but Josh Pitke here, January 7th and daily vlog. But making it my goal to do to read a book a week this year. A book a week this year. So my first book, I'm actually 50 pages out till I'm done, but I'm gonna finish it up tonight. And but it's Kevin O'Leary's Cold Hard Truth. And really, really good book. I mean, the man definitely needs Jesus, but he is just a very astute, shrewd businessman for sure, and lots of good nuggets, lots of good wisdom in it. So just wanted to, I do recommend it if you want to. If it's an easy read. It tells his story, his life story, which is pretty cool. He weaves his life story really well into the book, but one on page 3, I mean, it hooked me right away because it's really some really it's honest stuff. And that's the thing. I don't know if you ever watched the Shark Tank before, but Shark Tank has become, I got addicted to that show. I think I've watched like 50 episodes. But he's one of the main guys in that show, and he's just so blunt. He's so honest. He's so ruthless with telling people what he really thinks about their ideas and their businesses and whatever. And but he says some people, and this is page 3, and basically the probably one of the main theses of the book is that money deals with facts. And so he writes on page 3 of the book, some people also think that making money is a matter of being good or right, but money doesn't care about any of that. It doesn't care about you or your family or your country. This is not necessarily a bad thing. Money is neutral. Money goes where it knows it will be safe, and that's generally in the vicinity of more money. So building wealth requires the ability to think the way money thinks, which means never confusing money with emotion. In fact, feelings are often obstacles to wealth because feelings, like the weather, are mercurial, unreliable, difficult to pin down, and never changing. Money deals strictly with fact. And he says, as money's biggest fan, I've learned a lot from watching how it behaves, where it goes, and what it runs screaming from. And so he talks about when he's writing as money in the book, and the Bible says that the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. And I really believe that. I believe that, if you love money more than you love Jesus, that's a problem. And I think that Kevin O'Leary probably, admittedly, he does. Although he seems very balanced in his family life and whatever. But the reality is, I'm not endorsing his book on a spiritual level or on the level of, his own life or his own choices. But when I read a book like this, I want to extract what God has for me. I actually really felt led, and right now, God, I feel the Lord has me on this path, on this tangent of really growing in wisdom and growing in business acumen and growing in understanding and growing in economic IQ and growing in EQ, growing in emotional capability. And but anyway, so another good point he mentions is guard your time. And he talks about how, it's the one thing that it's a universal currency is time. You can't buy more of it. You can't get more of it. And so really utilize your time wisely. One thing I really, and this is maybe debatable, but he says money is the lifeblood of a family. And I started thinking about that. And I started thinking about the reality that, most divorces or most separations, most divorces are because of money problems. And I think the stats like 70 or 80, or maybe it's even more. But of all the problems out there, like infidelity, whatever other, obviously it's infidelity, porn, gambling, all those different things are just, people grow apart or whatever. But that's not the cause of most separations, divorces. The cause of most separations and divorces is money problems. And it's not even because people don't necessarily don't have enough, but they're just not. That's why they're not stewarding it properly. That's why I really pushed yesterday to do a budget. And I'm going to talk about that again and again and again and again and again and again for the rest of my life, because it saved me. And, because I'm very careful about how not always. I want to be very careful, and I try to be very careful about how I spend my money. And I have done a pretty good job. But he talks about how his mom actually taught him this, page 17, in handing over her philosophy on money. My mother was also explaining to me how the whole world worked, I began to understand that money is the lifeblood of a family. Love may be its heart, but it's money that pumps the vital energy through it. She treated money with respect, and when she needed funds, they were there. And he talks about how his mom always taught him, work hard, leave money alone if you want it to grow, and save 1/3 of your paycheck and stuff like that. And he said, keep the principal. She used to teach him, keep the principal and spend the interest. So I thought that was cool. And he goes on. There's so much about business. He talks about how to be a good boss, how to be a good employee, how to recognize whether you're an employee or an entrepreneur, and some really good tidbits, some really, really good stuff. I underlined a bunch of it. I don't want to take too much time. He talks about in depth on page 90 when to know when to whack someone. In other words, when to fire someone. And real quick, he says, how do you know when to whack someone? The moment you think, hey, this is not really working out. The minute the notion enters your mind, you have to fire someone. I don't hesitate. I don't give the person 3, 4, 5 months to improve or change. And because I tell you they're never going to change. And there's truth to that, even as an employer for the last, 4 years for a business, but really since I started a church when I was 22, anyway, it's true. And he said, who do I fire? The underperformers, the complainers, the players, the posers, the ones who infect otherwise healthy environments with their arrogance, their negative attitude or outlook. And so he talks about he just talks a lot about business. I mean, the subtitle of the book, On Business, Money and Life, really good book. Encourage you to pick up a copy if you want to, but because it's got a lot of good tidbits. I think kind of my main takeaway from the book though is he kind of, as he weaves his life through his life, you see this progression of really what happens is it's like layer upon layer of knowledge, layer upon layer of experience, and layer upon layer of determination and of skill and of wisdom in handling money and business and everything that he's done. I mean, Kevin O'Leary is like, he's got basically like, I think like $400 or $500 million. Like he's on his way to being a billionaire. And, that's not an easy thing to do from scratch. And so, when you see, and so really I resonate because I feel like layer upon layer, I've been growing. And I think you can do the same thing. I mean, here's the deal, right? If you don't have a job, you can go out and get a minimum wage job. And if you do that job with excellence for a year or 2 or 3, you will be promoted. And if you do that with excellence and you're reading and you're growing, then you're going to be promoted again. And if you get to, let's say you're working at McDonald's and you're burger flipping for a year or 2 or 3, and then all of a sudden you graduate to fries, I don't know, whatever, however, and then all of a sudden you're assistant manager, and then, you do that faithfully for 5 years and you're a manager, and you do that for 5 years more, and you get to the top place that you can at McDonald's. And then all of a sudden, so you're like, now I could be a manager at Boston Pizza because I know what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden your income goes from $25,000, $30,000 a year to $40,000 a year. And then you're a manager there. And so what I'm saying is you can grow, and then all of a sudden you're starting to invest, you're starting to make, it just starts with, you don't even need an education. I don't believe in our country. I mean, you're looking at a guy who doesn't have an education. I mean, I have an education because I read books, but I have a high school diploma. I have a 5-month school of ministry ticket. No, it's not even like a diploma. It's like not even a certificate, really. It's nothing of worldly worth, let's say. And that's it. And I've started a church, and we've been going. It's just been awesome, and I just figured it out along the way, and then I've just worked and fought and gotten wiser and gotten a little bit stronger. I don't think I'm at an amazing place right now, but But the fact of the matter is that I don't have an education, and I'm pastoring and leading a church and running a successful business and doing quite well. And so that just goes to show, like, you don't have to, like, if you're like, well, I don't know if I go back to school or whatever, school might be for you, but you can read books. And so I want to encourage you, read books and read the Bible and read and study and press. And so I always encourage people to get, like my buddy Derek Schneider says, shout out to Derek Schneider. He says, you got to climb the mountain of God. In other words, you got to get into the presence of God. You got to get God's blueprint. for your life. And then you can begin to really climb the mountain that God has for you. So anyway, 10 minutes is long enough tonight. That's my kind of book review. We'll hit it up hopefully next Monday night. Today's Monday night. So Monday night we'll do I don't know. I got a pile of books over there, so I'm going to pick one of them. I'm going to read through it this week. So love you guys. Have an awesome night tonight. And hope you get some from that. Layer upon layer, you can grow. You can grow spiritually. You can grow relationally. You can grow deeper in love with God, deeper in love with your wife, deeper in love with your husband, deeper in love with your children. You can grow in your career. You can grow in your understanding. You can grow your business. You can grow. I mean, you can do it. Yeah, you just got to go for it. There's nothing that that is in the way but your own brain and your own mind. And you need to expand your thinking, not by going home and trying to meditate your way into it or something like that, unless you're meditating on the word. That's pretty cool. But by reading and by mentorship, I met with my mentor for an hour today, and he poured into me. I got, all this stuff on my whiteboard, all these awesome notes about how to grow sales, grow my enterprise, grow my business. And so we're going for it. So anyway, very cool. Love you guys. Have a great night tonight. Check you tomorrow. Bye.